Hello and welcome to We Women Want. This is our weekly show where we discuss women's issues. It's a show for women by women, but the men are of course very much free to join in because we're not just discussing women's rights. I think we're living in a gender equal world. We don't want rights that are, superior rights or anything. I think we are pretty capable of handling ourselves on our own. But where women are looked down upon, where women are differentiated against, that's when we take up their causes. But today we're taking up a cause from another angle. We're looking at the role of a woman at the Femme Fatale. You know, traditionally the woman has been seen as the nurturer, as the mother, as the one who keeps the house together. But of late, there have been more and more cases where the woman has been played the role of the destroyer. Whether, of course, we have the famous Indrani Mukherjee case that is once again in the limelight. We had the case of another executive who killed her own child and, packed him off in a suitcase while she was holidaying in Goa for whatever reasons. That is the side of a woman we are going to be looking at today. And joining me on the show is Deepika Narayan Bharadwaj. She is a documentary filmmaker. She's an activist who's done a lot of work in these cases, fighting for men's rights also more often than not. And she's founded her own NGO now, Ekam Nyay Foundation. Welcome to this conversation. Leher Kala, columnist with Indian Express. She writes on a whole heaps of lifestyle issues, women issues, societal issues. And today we are going to be discussing with her the Indrani Mukherjee case in particular. And Shalini Singh, she is the founder of a dating service called And We Met, which helps singles who are looking for a long-term relationship, not marriage, but just a companionship partner. So she's into relationships. I think Leher, you've been following the Indrani Mukherjee case. I think have you seen the story on Netflix also. What is your first takeaway from the role of Indrani in terms of a role as a woman?
Well, I think Indrani is a very complicated, mysterious person, and I think the documentary does a pretty good job in bringing out the complexities of a human being. I don't even want to call her just a woman. And I think there's been so much focus on mental health in our time now. We are more aware of this. But I'd like to bring out one particular point of what she says in Buried Truth. She says that when she's in a room, all eyes turn towards her, And now, I don't know, does she actually believe that? Is it true? Or is it just a figment of her imagination, which gives us a sense that, and since we have more awareness of this, that she's just basically a sufferer of the narcissistic personality disorder. And it's a very easy test you can check for yourself online, because she comes across as unhinged when she says that, Even if you think it, social courtesy demands that you don't say it. Correct. Nobody says, "Main sabse khoobsurat hoon." You sound mad when you're in your late 50s to talk like that. So that's just an indication. And then, of course, you realize that she'll go to no end for her purpose. She says all of a sudden that she was raped at 14 and then at 16.
Right.
None of this has come out before. And, we've been following this case now since then.
Covering the case, yeah.
Has any cop ever said this? So much information has come out. So lying is like a second nature. But, people like this have existed throughout history, that you see any James Bond film, you'll see that, the woman is this femme fatale, this very mysterious woman who uses her sexuality to get ahead. James Hadley Chase novels back when we used to be teenagers and reading them. And like Fatal Attraction. But generally, I think, because crimes, 1 out of 4 crimes is only committed by a woman, statistically, all over the world. It's very, very rare compared to men. So we still can't get our heads around the fact that a woman can do this to her daughter. Or like that case of that Goa CEO you were talking about. I mean, it's just, especially to kill your child, because that's so against the order of nature. That is impossible to believe, but it's actually not that uncommon. You hear of honor killings all the time in Haryana. You hear of...
that's why women are differentiated against. But here the woman is the perpetrator, the femme fatale, as you say. But what was your first reaction when you heard that a woman has been accused of killing her own daughter when the case broke out?
It's horrifying. It's horrifying if any parent does it. But I think more and more we have to realize that the gender roles are the same and we are just basically people, Whether you're men or women, it doesn't matter. And especially people who are educated, our lifestyles as women is not different from the men. We go to work, we earn money. How are we different really, other than the fact that we give birth? There's no other differentiating factor. So whatever shortcomings there are in men are present in women, and we have to now treat women equally, And when there are fake cases filed against men for rape, for molestation, these have to be dealt with very, very seriously.
Okay, I know you want to comment, but first I want to bring in Deepika because she has a lot of statistics which will help our conversation. And picking up from where Leher took off, where women are taking advantage of a sympathy or a law which has been slanted to help them, but some women are giving this a bad name.
Yep, absolutely. Priya, I think I loved what Leher said. I think we are at a juncture now. We are in 2024. We need to shed this whole preconceived notion in our mind that a woman cannot be as dangerous, as manipulative, as criminal as a man. And our laws really, really need to catch up with that fact. Now, we are talking about Indrani. I remember when Suchana's case had come up, because there was just so much of, surprise, or I would say shocking factor. I did an entire thread on Twitter documenting, I think at that time, approximately 15 to 20 cases where the woman has killed her child. And this was for reasons ranging from adultery to she not being okay to take care of the child. We recently had a case from Bangalore where the poor little 4-year-old child was telling the neighbors that her mother locks him up every day in the house. He's beaten up by the mother and her boyfriend as well. She's separated from her husband, or I don't know, divorced. But we get to see such cases day in, day out. We are on the 78th day of 2024. We've already documented more than 90 cases where the woman actually killed the husband or the live-in partner.
So it's not duping, cheating, it's kill.
No, it's murder. It's straight away murder. Just now, I just shared a case that has happened just today or reported today where the woman was in adultery. The husband basically left his job, moved back to take care of his kids so that they can have a little better upbringing. She fell in love with the water delivery guy. And now the husband was actually thinking that, okay, if she's not improving, let her go with whatever lover she wants. But before the panchayat could be called, this woman has got the husband murdered. So it's not just one-off cases. We are coming across such cases every single day, and extreme crimes, not just manipulating, cheating. When it comes to lying, I have endless stories to tell you. There are just so many false cases that are happening against men, and unfortunately, these women are taking advantage. I mean, we are sitting at the juncture where just yesterday, Mumbai police announced that that Sajjan Jindal, who happens to be a very big man, he was accused of rape, and the case has been found false. After she, kept fighting to get the FIR lodged, and when eventually the FIR was lodged, she didn't turn up to give her evidence. She didn't turn up to give her statement. Now, my question is, if the police is saying that the case was false, will there be any action against the woman?
That is actually the also where the law needs to step in. But Shalini, you come across a lot of, you're in the business of relationships. Are you at all surprised by some of the stories that are coming out?
Actually, they don't surprise me. And, I'd agree with what both of them said. They don't surprise me because I don't look at it as a mother who has killed. I just look at it as what was this person going through, okay? Just because she's a woman, because in our country, we really build up the woman to be the ma, to be the mother, right? And a mother can go, I'm getting goosebumps when I'm saying this, that she can't go wrong. As we grow up also, I think this whole thing starts when we are very young. When we are young, as young girls, we are told that, your worth is as a dutiful wife or a dutiful mother, right? And the boys are told that you need to focus on your career, right? Because you need to support your family. The girls are also told that you're a guest in my house, and so you will get married and you will have to manage that home. There is so much of underlying pressure on the woman. And when she takes up a career or she goes for a job, let's say if she is single, she's asked, when will you, what are your plans to get married? If she is married and doesn't have children, she's asked, when are you planning to start a family? If she has children, then they ask, how will you give time? So a woman has to answer so many questions to prove herself. In the Goa case, maybe she was going through, she may be attached to her son, and I'll take a step back. When a woman even births, she's expected to love the child from day one. That may not happen. So I think we put so much of pressure on a woman. In the Goa case, she may have loved her son, she may love her son, but what was going in her mind? I think when you get to that point of
Yeah.
taking somebody's life, you're definitely not thinking straight.
But yeah, the Goa case, yeah. Yeah,
Evident that
yeah.
she wanted to
Keep
did
him from
not
the
want
husband.
The child to be going
No,
to
she was
the
just
father.
using him. She was just
Correct.
using
Yeah,
him
she
to
was
get back at the
yes,
Yeah, because the child
absolutely,
is
yes.
helpless, right? So
Yeah.
the child comes in between two grown-ups. The
Yeah.
child,
But then,
It's actually, Priya, if we could, and I would be requesting you for this, this is the most hidden issue in these turmoils between men and women. Children, I can tell you from experience, and it is not just the mothers doing it. In some cases, the fathers also do it. Using the child as a pawn to get back at your partner in cases of separation or divorce, the kind of brainwashing, the kind of damage, the kind of negativity that is thrown at kids in
Is
such
the-
cases is unimaginable, and poor little souls become
Pawns.
just these pawns in these fights, and so
That's
many
true.
cases.
Yeah,
in fact,
but
in fact, now that you're saying that, I saw this really interesting TED talk where one guy who was divorced himself said that prenuptial agreements are pretty routine in the US now. They said a prenuptial agreement now should also decide how you are to deal with the children. It's not just about finances.
Correct.
That you're both going to agree that you're not going to involve the child in this. Whatever you do, you're going to do on your own. And that's something to think about.
Prenuptials are not
They're
valid in India,
yeah.
which is
no, but we did
actually
a
very
show
sorry
on that,
thing.
making a case for prenups, and all the
Yes.
people on the show wanted it.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
women.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it is
But,
necessary.
It is necessary. No, to get back to what she said about this Goa case, for
Yeah.
instance,
Yeah.
I think even Indrani, you touched upon it, is the insecurity of the woman also that, the psycho, it's what society wants you to do. There is
Yeah.
a format. But there is also the individual insecurity that comes to play. Here, she didn't want to share her son with the husband. That's why she killed him. She didn't want the husband to visit the son.
Yeah. See, with all these
Indrani-
people, these are number one, these cases are aberrations. By and large, women or men are not this bad, right?
Yes, I totally agree,
This
totally
is
agree,
still
yeah.
a rarity.
Both genders.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
both
must,
genders.
acknowledge that these are crazy cases, But there is a high level of narcissism in women who
that's
behave
the-
like this.
that's an important point.
So she's right. God knows what kind of childhoods they've had. But can that be an excuse for aberrant behavior like
toxic.
this? Can this be an excuse for
but
for
I
murder?
guess no. But yes,
there's no excuse.
But
Absolutely
I think they've
not.
known.
And-
they don't know anything better because they are so. I think, like, I mean, I actually saw one of your stories that you did on Indrani's case, and because I'm still trying to question why did she kill her Sheena, right? And one in your story it said that maybe when the money came in, they siphoned it to the family, and maybe Sheena
It was
was
put in Sheena's name.
Sheena's name, and she wasn't. So it was all about power and money. So that time you forget.
Who's your daughter?
Who's your relative. Even when people are angry, when we hear about people hitting someone, people screaming at someone, your mind just goes berserk. You are not thinking who is the person or how are they related to. So,
Okay,
can
probably,
we look into
but
this?
the other, we can look into this, but the other issue that I found interesting is how she's passing Sheena off as a sister. This rape theory came much later, as Leher pointed out. Initially, it was because she did not want to seem old enough to have a daughter that age. So, how is
No,
screwed up
I'll
the
tell you
kids?
why. Don't forget that, premarital having children out of wedlock is still a taboo in India.
That was also-
Although in the Northeast is, I think, less of a taboo where she hails from. But you can't go to Bombay and say that you had 2 children between 16 and 18 and be expected to be taken seriously as a CEO, yeah?
Let us also
Which 16 or 18-year-old CEO, is there any CEO in India, a woman, who'd have 2 kids out of wedlock? No.
So,
let us
again,
also-
and only women are
I
jealous
think-
on this, not men.
Correct. No, so I
No.
think over here.
So it was a lot of shame
Also.
that wanted her
No, let
to
us
keep Sheena
also
under the radar.
acknowledge the fact that Indrani was never willing to take care of her children.
Yeah.
No matter how much money she got when she married the second time also, I think she had a pretty decent life, but she never bothered for her kids. It was only when their ad appeared in that matrimonial thing, that is when Sheena and her brother basically contacted her to help them out because they were in absolute bad situation. That's when they basically, अब वो land ही कर गए हैं Bombay में, तो she can't really hide it. What I am finding absolutely bizarre and unacceptable, Priya, is, and I'm going to attach this to the Me Too movement, when men got accused just by, you know, allegations, when Anu Malik then got a show, there was so much of brouhaha that how can a Me Too accused? Now this woman is, let me state categorically, shamelessly going and participating in debates, in conclaves. She's given a red carpet. Tell me in the history of a murder accused being given a media presence like Indrani. And she's such a liar. I'm sorry to say this, but yes, I understand innocent until proven guilty and all of that is there. Where is Sheena? That poor soul is not able to fight for herself, and she lies like a glib liar. She's ordering how her lawyer should speak, what her lawyer should speak, and she's so dominating in that entire documentary. I find it repulsive, you know.
So
and
probably-
she's so casual. Her
About it.
daughter is dead. There is not an iota of regret or, you know, pain in her eyes, but she continues to play that woman card. I'm a woman because nobody likes a, you know, successful woman. This, that, blah blah. It's just hilarious the way that.
I mean, in the Indrani Mukherjee case, when you said that why it is mysterious that why would she be so determined to pass off Sheena and Mikhail
Sister.
as her siblings, you know, and how did she think she could get away with it? Because, you know, you're skating on very thin ice. I mean, they can go around telling anybody, ek
Yeah.
friend ko bata diya, ek uncle ko bata diya, her parents can talk, somebody who knows her from her past, her ex-husband. But her hold on them was so complete. They were so terrorized by her. They maintained that silence.
Financial hold bhi tha na,
Huh.
apart from everything else. That is.
So, you know, you also have to acknowledge that there is something about these women. They have something about them. It's a mysterious allure, or it's something that they have some charisma that manages to sweep.
Control the
Now, see,
others.
a guy
Yeah.
like Peter
I think what
Mukherjee.
we are
Why
absolutely
would
missing
he-
is that curry and cyanide case.
Yeah.
Jolly Joseph.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay, before that,
continue.
let Shalini also come in and on this case first.
So my take over here is that, you know, again, I'll come back to the societal conditioning. If I'm a single woman and I have children, and even if I go to look for an apartment to rent, I'm going to find it very difficult. Okay? And
Even
so-
today.
Even today, right? And so maybe because anybody who's super ambitious or wants to start their life fresh, at that time you are like, okay, let me put my past behind me and let me come fresh. Now, even when so I think besides lot of things, I think one thing that should be there in corporates, that when they're hiring someone, they should not have the right to ask personal questions, you know, of when are you married, not married, do you have children? How does that matter? Because what you're looking at is the candidate who's coming to work.
Professional.
Yes, and I think a lot of things need to change, even like when you try and give, you know, you have policies that you can share with your partner and things like that. I think another thing that the corporate should look at, in my view, is that today, you know, the benefits are only given to a married partner, if a partner is married. I think you should start being open to give benefits to a partner that's been in a committed relationship.
No, they are looking into that also, live-in relationship, that's coming in. But I want to just come back to one point that Deepika had made about how the world is very happily, you know, Indrani is back in Bombay Society, she's back in the media, she's back. I mean,
Yeah. So she apparently
she's not
was
even done
invited
her-
to speak at a literature festival in Kasauli. Apparently, she's the toast of Bombay Society. So either people want her because, you know, my God, you have this freak among you. Or you have notoriety, you know, so the famous notoriety, and you
Gets
become like
TRPs.
somebody at a party, you know, it's like, but you know, that's the difference between rich Indian society and Western society. When, I'll give you an example, when Bernie Madoff, when he was outed in that big scam, his wife couldn't get a blow dry anywhere in New York. The florist refused to send flowers to her house because they said, listen, look at what you've done. You've cheated millions of, you know, so there's some sort of moral compass that
But I think
comes
even
in,
on
you know.
Vijay Mallya, would he get the same welcome if he's back today in society?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so maybe is it because you've cheated someone, but you harmed society as a whole, but here the crime is more in our own house. Is that the reason?
No, but I think a murder crime is worse than, is
It is
as bad as,
stigmatized.
you know, cheating millions, right? I mean, who's to say what's worse? They're both bad. But
let us please understand that these are not ordinary platforms that are giving her a red carpet. It's reputed channels. It's one of the biggest OTT platform. They are just laying out everything for her to actually pretend to be this gullible and vulnerable woman who has been, wronged, and her truth was buried for so long and things like that. I don't know, Peter. I don't think Peter Mukherjee can still walk in like this with his head held high today in any society, or he would be given a platform like that. I don't think so that has happened. And what the point that I really want to make is that, Priya, women who are, like Leher said, narcissists, definitely have this tendency or a streak of a criminal tendency. They know that they can play the woman card. They are femme fatale. At the same time, they know that they can play the woman card. I deal with a lot of these women, and just now we are at a juncture where there's this woman who filed 6 rape cases against 6 different men, saying all of them raped her by giving her a false promise of marriage. She's behind bars right now under the charges of extortion. Her bail petition in toto is focused only on this, that she's a woman. She did not want to harm anyone, or she did not cheat anyone. She's absolutely vulnerable. If she is given bail, then she will not repeat anything, or she will not threaten, intimidate anything. These are obviously regular conditions. But again and again, this whole concept of she being a woman is being brought out, not in just her bail petition, but also in the arguments in the court. Being a woman does not give you a license to commit crime or destroy someone's life. And we see this happening day in, day out, whether it's street fights, whether it is corporate fights. It is increasingly becoming easy for a woman to just stand up and say that, listen, I'm a woman. I can beat you, I can abuse you, I can do anything, and you cannot do anything about it. That's where the problem, I think, is. I mean, men have committed crimes with impunity for the longest of times. Let's not build a society where, the same is being done by women.
Because no one is it
There's
our
also
case to
feeling
say
of
that
justification.
the women.
I think women feel a little justified also that, ये तो कब से कर रहे हैं.
Yes,
it's like that.
Yes, very true.
So I'll tell you that, in Gurgaon now, they've started hiring female bouncers at pubs because they don't want a male bouncer
handling a woman.
Handling a woman. And the number of women misbehaving after alcohol is also rising. And they also get away with it because, then nobody wants to say anything to them. So now they've started hiring. So, society comes up with its own ways of correcting the situation.
And actually, we were talking on the fascination of Indrani. The fascination is also with Charles Sobrach. At the end of the day, the films made on him, the interviews on him. So there is crime does fascinate. That is the unfortunately the underbelly, which is why this works. But Shalini, in your when you are getting people together, do you worry that a woman might misuse the opportunity? Do you coach the men? Is there some kind of tips you give to both men and women?
Very interesting. So, no, we don't give any tips. The short answer. The longer answer is we met for single Indians who are 30 years and above. We hope that they use their own common sense in whatever they are getting into. So, they're all professional. Most of them, everybody is a professional. They know where to work. They know how to handle their finances. They know what to eat, what to wear. So, hopefully they know how to take ahead their relationship too. And that's a personality type. So, I think, two people will not know of a personality type till you don't start living together or start getting acquainted with each other.
So, in fact, any last words on the whole gender?
There are a lot of dating app scams that are happening. I can continue to expose these extortion rackets that happen, and dating apps are the biggest platforms that are being used. Just today, there's a guy who sent me a bill of 31,000 rupees from Indore, where the woman just met him on the dating app, took him to the, or not took him, of course, he went along with her to a cafe, and then she has 6 shots of Grey Goose. No, men are not gullible. I'm very clear about that. Men are not gullible. Neither, like she rightly said, when you're 30 above, you know what you're doing. But unfortunately, there are just so many cases that are happening where the woman would say that man took her to hotel, she didn't want to go, then promised her marriage, and then, files a rape case. I just hope, and I just am sure there needs to be some checks and balances, and I'm sure platforms can also play a role.
We do have checks and balances, but then, but this comes to the personality type, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So, yeah.
And do men feel hesitant to say we've been cheated? Women do not. We come out and we say, "Mujhse
I
dhokha hua
think
hai."
men do feel a little hesitant. They feel a little embarrassed because
Yeah, embarrassed.
they're not supposed to be the ones at the receiving end of this, because historically they're the ones who've, you know, bamboozled and cheated
Like in Dil
women.
Chahta Hai, when
So-
Saif was made a fool of all his friends, they just came and laughed. Nobody helped to untie him. They just sat and laughed.
No.
So
Otherwise,
this is-
also the environment is not very conducive, Priya. I see
Oh.
these cases and handle these cases. No matter how innocent the guy is, no matter how many chats he has, if the woman says rape, then the guy is basically going to be arrested. And the police also, there's this case that I'm going to meet the police authorities tomorrow. The woman is married, she has a child, she has left the child completely. She moves to another city for job. Absolutely fine. Okay, it's her life, she should be taking care of it. But then she starts living in with a man who is unmarried, pretends to be unmarried, later reveals that she's married and has a child. And now she is dragging that man to the police station every single day, saying, I will not divorce my husband. You get married to me, else I'm charging you of rape and false promise of marriage. And this man is crying inconsolably, and the police authorities, he has call recordings. The police says, अभी तो हम आपको प्यार से बुला रहे हैं, जिस दिन इसने रेप की कंप्लेंट फाइल कर दी उस दिन हम आपको बुलाएंगे नहीं, हम आपके पास आके आपको अरेस्ट करके लेकर जाएंगे. So, you know, when you know things are so clear, just recently Supreme Court quashed a case. The woman was married. She had a 15-year-old daughter. She was sleeping with a man in her own house. And then when that man decided that he doesn't want to marry her, then she says, you know, you have raped me on false promise of marriage. The man ran all the way till the Supreme Court to get the case quashed. And
But
Supreme
it's
Court
so
that is the
interesting here.
case, huh?
So if she's putting the case on him, you know, marriages are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be they're supposed to be companionship.
Absolutely.
You can't threaten anyone to marry you. How will you sustain the relationship?
Trust
I'm
me.
like thinking about this. is
Trust
that I'm
me, there
forcing you
are
to
so many men who are being pushed to marriage
That's what I'm
by the
saying.
threats of rape
there
case
needs
today.
there needs to be a way to sustain them. You're not getting or you know, people are. That's what I'm saying. People
So
look
they're not
at
looking for
marriage
marriage,
very
they're looking for a
differently.
settlement. They're looking to get something out.
No,
Yeah.
not that.
They're not looking for marriage. This is
Or
not
they're looking
your-
for a society. I think the men should say, yeah, let's marry. And then let's
There
see.
are a lot of men actually who are getting married Shalini, that
On
way.
this case.
Yes. And then they're dragged to the
Okay.
police station again.
Totally out of time on this. I think it's a fascinating conversation, and in fact, I would we'll hope to have all of you back here again for more such anecdotes and conversations. But for now, thank you so much for watching this show.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.